The wind doesn't just brush your skin, it lashes it, sharp as sandpaper, dry as the bones scattered across the plains. Dust clings to your eyelashes, grits between your teeth, settles into every crease of your skin. Your shirt, stiff, stained, and unwashed for weeks, carries the scent of sweat, campfire smoke, and survival. There are no buildings in sight, no roads lined with lights, no doctors, no phones, no one coming to help. Just the endless hum of the wind, the crunch of gravel under worn boots, and the sharp, distant crack of a rifle echoing through the stillness. It's not a dream, not a movie. This is the American Wild West, a place so raw, so merciless, that the wrong sip of water could poison you. A rattlesnake might curl up in your boots at night, silent, coiled, and waiting. And if you're a woman, your battle begins before the sun even rises. Here, survival isn't a goal, it's a gamble. Every day, every breath, every step. So tell me, how long do you think you'd last? A week? A day? An hour? Now close your eyes and imagine someone dropped you there, right now. No warning, no guide, no way out. Would you fight to survive? Or would the West swallow you whole before the sun even sets?
If you've ever watched an old Western, you might think life on the American frontier was all about riding horses, twirling pistols, and squinting under the sun like some rugged outlaw. Maybe you imagine yourself surviving out there with a trusty hat, a saddlebag, and a six-shooter strapped to your belt. But the truth? You wouldn't make it past morning. Not because of gunfights or outlaws, but because of something far simpler: the stench of your own body. You wake up in a shack, not a cozy log cabin from the movies, but a flimsy shelter built from rough-cut wood and scraps of canvas. The cold creeps in through every crack. The wind whistles through the walls, shaking the frame like it wants to rip the roof right off. Beneath you, not a mattress, just a pile of old straw, damp and crawling with things that bite. There's no alarm clock, no warm shower, no soft slippers waiting at the bedside. Instead, nature wakes you up. Howling wind, the rustle of something moving under the floorboards, and perhaps a distant, chilling wolf's howl drifting through the morning fog. You inhale and regret it. There's no scent of coffee, no freshly baked bread. Only you, your sweat, thick and sour from days, maybe weeks, without a bath. The odor is sharp, animal-like, soaked into every fiber of your shirt. It mixes with the smell of smoke, horse dung, and dry earth, creating a pungent cocktail that clings to your skin and never quite fades. Why don't you wash? Because water is precious. The clean water, if you're lucky enough to have any, is saved for drinking. Maybe cooking. Maybe for watering a few withered vegetables growing in the back. Bathing, that's a luxury no one can afford. Toothbrushes, rare. Towels, torn rags, if you're lucky. Soap, maybe if someone traded for it in the last town, a week's ride away. Most mornings, you splash your face with cold water, rub it dry on your sleeve, and brace yourself for the day ahead. And that bed you just crawled out of? It's not just itchy, it's alive. Bedbugs swarm in the straw, biting in the dark, leaving your arms and legs dotted with welts that itch and sting for hours. You can't escape them. There's no repellent, no clean sheets, only the quiet surrender of scratching until your skin bleeds. You pull on your clothes, the only set you own. Thick, scratchy fabric stiffened by dried sweat, stained by mud, and worn thin at the elbows and knees. They don't smell any better than you do. In fact, they smell worse. You reach for your boots, but wait. Out here, you never put your boots on without checking first. There might be a scorpion inside, or a snake, curled up, waiting for warmth. You tip them upside down, knock them together, praying nothing slithers out. If you forget just once, it might cost you a toe or your life. This is the real Wild West. Not glamorous, not glorious, just survival, every single morning. Let's talk about the weather. Because in the Wild West, the weather isn't just something you complain about. It's something you survive. There's no thermostat to adjust, no fan to turn on, no heater humming in the background. Summer arrives like a punishment. The sun rises early, fierce and unrelenting. It beats down on the dry earth until it splits open like cracked leather. The wind carries heat, not relief. It burns your skin, dries out your mouth, and leaves your lips cracked and bleeding. You sweat constantly, but there's no cool shower waiting for you. Your body becomes sticky, coated in dust and salt, and your clothes, already stiff with grime, only make it worse. And then comes winter. Not the kind with snow angels and cozy fireplaces, but the kind that kills. Your breath fogs in the air before dawn. The wind howls like a wild animal outside your flimsy cabin walls. You wrap yourself in every scrap of cloth you own, bury yourself under itchy wool blankets. But still, the cold reaches for you. It finds the spaces between the boards. It settles into your bones. You wake up with your fingers numb and your toes stiff. Some mornings, you wake to find someone didn't wake at all. Out here, winter is merciless. It doesn't care if you're strong or brave. It comes for everyone eventually. Still, no matter the season, the day always begins the same. You work, not because you want to, but because you have no choice. There are no lazy mornings. No hitting the snooze button. The moment light touches the sky, your body moves. First, you split wood. Heavy, splintered logs that resist each swing of the axe. You need it for fire, for cooking, for warmth, for staying alive. Then you walk, sometimes hundreds of feet, to haul water from the nearest well or stream. Not in plastic bottles or filtered taps, but in heavy buckets that slosh and bruise your legs as you carry them home. One trip isn't enough. 2, 3, more. After that, you empty the chamber pot or outhouse. A task as unpleasant as it sounds. You carry the waste outside, hoping your compost pit doesn't attract animals or spread disease. There is no plumbing, no soap dispenser, no sanitized porcelain. Just you, your hands, and whatever makeshift tools you've crafted to keep the filth from your skin. And then comes the rest. Cleaning, cooking, mending, planting, feeding animals, fixing fences, checking for wolves, watching for snakes, swatting flies that never go away. Every task is manual. Every task is exhausting. And nothing is optional. You don't get to rest. If you fall ill, the chores still wait. If you're pregnant, injured, or old, too bad. The fire still needs fuel. The water still needs carrying. The land doesn't care how tired you are. Out here, weakness is dangerous. Out here, survival is a job you never stop doing. Forget about wars, thieves, or gunfights. The real enemy is nature itself. The wind that won't stop. The sun that won't show mercy. The cold that won't leave your bones. The silence that stretches for miles, reminding you, you are truly, utterly alone. And if you make it through the day without freezing, collapsing, or breaking something vital, that's not just a good day, that's a small miracle. Because in the West, just waking up alive is something to celebrate. Let's talk about food, or rather, the haunting absence of it. Because surviving in the Wild West didn't just mean fighting the elements. It meant fighting your own hunger. Every single day, there are no supermarkets out here. No corner stores. No refrigerators humming in the background. Your meals don't come from shelves. They come from the dirt, from the rifle, from whatever scraps you can preserve long enough not to rot. Most days, you eat the same thing. Beans, biscuits, salted meat, and bitter, black coffee. Beans, boiled until they lose all shape and become a bland, soupy mash, are your best friend. Not because you love them, but because they don't spoil easily and provide just enough energy to keep your arms swinging an axe or your legs walking 10 miles. Biscuits, not the fluffy kind, but hardtack, rock-hard slabs of flour and water, baked until they can survive a century. You have to soak them in water just to make them chewable. Sometimes you find tiny holes in them, made by weevils. Other times, the bugs are still there. You eat them anyway. Protein, meat. If you're lucky, you've hunted something recently, a rabbit, maybe a deer. But without refrigeration, fresh meat goes bad fast. So you salt it, you smoke it, You dry it. You pack it in barrels and pray it doesn't rot from the inside out. What you're left with is a strip of meat so tough it chews back, and so salty it dries your mouth for hours. And to wash it down, coffee. Bitter, thick, black, more sludge than drink. You brew it in a dented pot over a smoky fire. It burns your tongue and leaves a bitter trail down your throat, but it keeps your eyes open, keeps you moving, keeps you alive. But you know what's missing from that menu? Fresh fruits, vegetables, anything green, and that absence will kill you. Weeks, even months, without vitamins leads to a disease sailors once feared more than storms. Scurvy. At first, you just feel tired, then exhausted, then like something inside you is slowly unraveling. Your joints ache, your muscles twitch, your skin becomes dry, rough, bruises easily. Your gums swell, purple, tender, bleeding. Your teeth loosen. Sometimes they fall out. Old wounds reopen. New wounds don't heal. You bleed beneath your skin and inside your body, slowly decaying from the inside out. All because you haven't eaten a single orange, potato, or sprig of spinach in months. Scurvy doesn't just affect you. It affects the strong, the young, the brave. Out here, it doesn't matter how tough you are. If your body breaks from the inside, you don't stand a chance. And even if you dodge scurvy, food itself can still be a gamble. Because with no modern preservation, no sterile kitchens, no clean water, food poisoning is a constant shadow. One bite of spoiled meat, one swig of tainted water, and you're doubled over in pain. Vomiting, diarrhea, fever, weakness, and worse, dehydration, the kind that creeps in fast and kills even faster. Your body loses everything before you can get help, if there's help at all. You try to boil your water, but sometimes that's not enough. The stream looked clean, until you realize someone dumped waste upstream. Too late. Out here, every meal is a risk. A roll of the dice between life and illness. Every bite you take is filled with calories and uncertainty. You eat to survive, not to enjoy. And even that basic act of survival, it's never guaranteed. Because out here, food isn't comfort. It's war, and hunger is always waiting. If you think hunger and weather are your only enemies, think again. Because in the Wild West, danger doesn't just stalk you in the open. It hides in your boots, in your bed, in your bloodstream. Let's start small. Literally. Snakes, scorpions, insects, creatures that don't growl or charge, but sting, bite, and kill in silence. You wake up one morning, stretch your legs, and go to slip on your boots. But you forgot something. You forgot to check. And now, there's a rattlesnake inside. Coiled, ready. One strike, one bite. And if you're miles from help, you won't last the hour. Or maybe it's a scorpion. Harmless looking, no bigger than your hand. But its sting brings fire and fever. In 1895, a 3-month-old baby in Florida, Colorado, died from a single sting. That's how dangerous they were. Scorpions hide in clothes, blankets, even inside your home, surviving winter in hiding, only to reappear when you least expect them. And if nature doesn't get you, disease might. Out here, illness isn't rare. It's inevitable. Cholera, typhoid, smallpox, tuberculosis, dysentery. The words sound old-fashioned now, like history book footnotes. But in the 19th century, they were the things whispered around campfires with genuine fear. Imagine this. You're walking the Oregon Trail. You feel fine in the morning, maybe just a bit tired. By evening, you can't stand. Your stomach cramps. You're vomiting water. Diarrhea runs like a river. Your body dries out faster than it can recover. That's cholera, and it can kill in less than 12 hours. Entire families were wiped out in a single day. Entire wagon trains slowed to bury their dead. The Oregon Trail became known as America's longest graveyard. And why did this happen? Because there were no hospitals, no proper sanitation, no understanding of germs. You drank from the same stream someone else used as a latrine upstream. You lived in tight, filthy quarters with strangers. And when someone coughed or bled or sneezed, there was nowhere to run. And when sickness came, what could you do? Doctors were rare. Sometimes you wouldn't see one for 50 miles in any direction. And when you did, they might be self-taught, uncertified, or worse, frauds with a set of knives and a saddlebag of guesswork. Hospitals weren't places of healing. They were places for the poor, the insane, and the dying. Sterile equipment didn't exist. Surgical tools were washed in cold water, if at all. Doctors didn't wear gloves, didn't change clothes between patients, and knew nothing about bacteria. Operations were fast and brutal. If your leg had to be amputated, you were held down, wide awake, while a bone saw did the job in minutes. Anesthetics like chloroform and ether existed, but they were unpredictable. Too little, and you felt every slice. Too much, and you never woke up. Post-surgery, infection, sepsis, death. More people died from the cure than the injury itself. And if you were a woman, giving birth was one of the most dangerous things you could do. No prenatal care, no sterile tools, no trained professionals, just a midwife, maybe, with calloused hands and a strong heart. If something went wrong, a breech birth, a hemorrhage, an infection, there was no one to save you. Childbirth fever, a deadly bacterial infection, killed thousands. And even if you survived the delivery, your child might not. Infant mortality was staggering. Nearly half of children died before the age of 5, not from war or crime, but from diarrhea, fever, cough, and cold. And then there was violence. But not the kind you see in Western movies. No slow-motion shootouts, no dramatic duels in dusty streets. Or fights, domestic disputes, alcohol-fueled rage. Most killings weren't acts of justice. They were accidents, arguments gone too far, drunken hands reaching for a pistol that never should have been loaded. Shootouts? Rare. Famous gunfights like the OK Corral lasted less than 30 seconds and were remembered precisely because they were so uncommon. The real Wild West wasn't full of heroes and villains. It was full of tired people, desperate people, and dangerous people. So what kills you in the West? Not just bullets, not just beasts, but bacteria, missteps, misfortune, misjudgment, and in a land where everything is trying to break you. From the inside, the outside, and everything in between. Every sunrise is a miracle, and every sunset a victory. Let's say you've survived it all. The stench, the storms, the hunger, the sickness. You've made it through a week, maybe 2, in this unforgiving land. But everything you've faced so far was just the training ground, because now comes the real test. The reason most people came west in the first place. The journey. Imagine walking for 4 to 6 months. Not in hiking gear, not with a guide and snacks, but in stiff, sweat-soaked clothes, under a sun that scorches your skin and a sky that shows no mercy. From Missouri to the Pacific, across rivers, deserts, forests, and mountains. No highways, no GPS, just wagon wheels, livestock, and hope. You won't be riding in the wagon like the movies show. You'll be walking, every day, for miles, because wagons are packed full, tools, food, blankets, people, and if you ride, the oxen tire faster. So you walk beside it, behind it, around it, 24 kilometers a day, on foot. No brakes, no shelters, just dust and determination. Speaking of dust, let's talk about the roads. Not paved, not even flat, just long, rutted trails carved by thousands of wagons before you. In dry weather, it becomes powdery white dust, fine as flour, rising with every step, every hoof. It gets in your mouth, your eyes, your food. It coats your children, turns clothes gray, and suffocates your lungs. When it rains, it's the opposite. Mud. Thick, sticky, ankle-deep mud. Wheels sink. Wagons stall. You may move only a few miles a day, if you're lucky. Sometimes oxen collapse. Sometimes people do. And when you come to a river, it's not just a stream to splash through. It's a gamble. If the river's too high or the current too strong, your wagon can tip, your oxen can panic, and in seconds, you lose everything. Supplies, tools, keepsakes, children. Drowning was one of the most common causes of death on the trail. The Oregon Trail wasn't just a journey. It was a mass grave. An estimated 1 in every 10 pioneers died before reaching their destination. That's tens of thousands of men, women, and children buried in shallow graves along the way. So many died, in fact, that people began calling the trail the longest graveyard in American history. And what did they die from? Not Indians, not outlaws, not gunfights, but disease. Cholera, dysentery, typhoid, measles, all passed from person to person in overcrowded camps with dirty water and no hygiene. A man could feel fine in the morning and be buried by nightfall. They called cholera the invisible killer. Then there were the accidents. Wagon wheels crushed limbs. People fell under their own carts and were run over. Children wandered and got lost. Guns misfired. Fires broke out. Animals kicked, trampled, or mauled. Even your own oxen, docile and obedient, could panic and cause chaos. If they died, your journey might end right there. And if you got lost, out in the open plains, a wrong turn could be fatal. The infamous Donner Party tried a shortcut. It led them into the mountains, into snow, into starvation. Of the 89 settlers who began, only 48 survived. And some did so by eating the flesh of the dead. So why do it? Why walk into this hell? Because the dream was bigger than the fear. The promise of land, of freedom, of a new start. But no one said the West would give it for free. You had to earn it. With your sweat, with your blood, with your loved ones buried behind you. The West didn't just test your strength. It tested your limits, your endurance, your faith. And if you reached the end, you weren't just a pioneer. You were a survivor. Even if you survive the trail, the dust, the hunger, the illness, your hardest battle may still be ahead. Because now you're alone. You've made it. You stand on the land you fought for, your very own 160 acres. The government gave it to you. The Homestead Act fulfilled its promise. But they never told you what that land would feel like. Empty, endless, silent. Your nearest neighbor? Half a mile away, maybe more. No roads, no fences. Just the vast, unbroken plains stretching in every direction. No trees, no hills, nothing but sky and silence. At first, it seems peaceful, but soon, the silence becomes something else. Something heavier, something that presses against your chest and whispers that you are truly, utterly alone. There's no phone to call home, no visits from family. They're hundreds of miles behind you, and letters take months to arrive. You wait and wait. And when news finally comes, someone was born, someone died. It's old, distant, like hearing about a stranger's life. You want to visit town, but the nearest one is 20 miles away, and you don't have a wagon to spare. Even if you do go, you're not going to chat. You go for salt, for nails, for kerosene. You go because you have to, not because you want to. And so, you stay, day after day, season after season. You wake, you work, you sleep, over and over, in a cycle as flat and empty as the land around you. You don't talk much to anyone. Maybe days go by where the only words spoken are between you and your livestock, or not spoken at all. And slowly, something begins to shift inside you. A sadness, a weight, a creeping fog you can't shake off. They had a name for it. Prairie madness, a sickness of the soul, a weariness that settles into your bones and never leaves. Women, especially, were vulnerable. They cried for no reason. Stopped bathing, stopped eating, stopped speaking. They'd stare out of windows for hours, waiting for someone who would never come. Some began to scream. Some wandered off into the prairie. Some didn't come back. Men suffered too, but their sorrow often turned inward, were violent. Some drank, some fought, some simply disappeared inside themselves, becoming silent shadows of who they used to be. Winter made it worse. Weeks of snow, no sunlight, trapped indoors for days, sometimes weeks, as the wind howled and the snow piled up. You could go mad just listening to it. And through all of this, you had to keep working. Because crops don't care about depression. Animals don't feed themselves. Children still cry. Fires still need tending. So you push forward, with a cracked smile, with tired hands, with the ache of loneliness becoming as familiar as your own heartbeat. But here's the quiet miracle. Some survived even this. They built communities, slowly, carefully. They held dances in barns, started schools, organized bees, social gatherings disguised as chores, barn raisings, quilt makings, harvest help. They read by candlelight. They told stories by fire. They passed around worn books, journals, Bibles. Because even in that vast, empty land, humans still needed each other. And the ones who remembered that were the ones who didn't break. In the harsh landscape of the American frontier, no one had it easy. But if anyone bore a double burden, it was women and children. Women weren't just mothers and wives. They were doctors, farmers, midwives, teachers, builders, protectors, and the glue that held the family together. By sunrise, they were hauling water. By midday, they were mending clothes, cooking meals, tending the garden, churning butter, making soap, boiling laundry, and rocking babies, often all at once. And when harvest season came, they were out in the fields, shoulders sunburned, hands blistered, working side by side with the men. There was no men's work and women's work. There was only work. And yet, women were expected to do it all silently, graciously, without rest, without complaint, without rights. They couldn't vote. They couldn't own property in many states. They couldn't file lawsuits or keep their own wages. Legally, once married, a woman became part of her husband's identity, not her own. If he was violent, she had no protection. If he left, she had no recourse. She could be strong, she could be smart, but she would still be invisible under the law. And yet, in that brutal environment, something extraordinary happened. Women began to break barriers, not by protest, but by necessity. They rode wagons across the plains. They held rifles when danger came. They stitched wounds and delivered babies in camel-lit cabins. They ran homesteads when husbands died or never came back. Some applied for land under the Homestead Act on their own, as widows or single women, and won it. And slowly, the West became a place where women had to be seen, had to be heard, had to lead. In fact, Wyoming became the first U.S. territory to grant women the right to vote. In 1869, decades before the rest of the country. And what about the children? They were never children for long. By age 4 or 5, they were working, carrying water, feeding chickens, guarding fields. By 10, boys were chopping wood. Girls were caring for younger siblings. Schooling was a luxury, often seasonal, often far away. If the crops needed harvesting, education could wait. And death came early and often. Nearly half of all children on the frontier died before the age of 5. Not from violence, but from disease, dehydration, accidents, and exhaustion. A spilled bucket of water could mean dysentery. A slip beneath a wagon wheel could mean a funeral. And yet, those who survived grew strong, hard, capable beyond their years. They weren't raised, they were forged. Despite everything, despite the loss, the laws, the silence, women and children became the soul of the frontier. It was their hands that kept the fire going, their voices that sang lullabies in the dark, their strength that held families together when the prairie threatened to tear them apart. They didn't ask to be heroes, but history remembers them as exactly that. Let's peel back the last layer. Because if the Wild West was a story of survival, it was also a story of silence and shadows. Behind the tales of rugged pioneers and manifest destiny lurks a truth far more brutal. This land, this vast, open frontier, was never empty. It belonged to someone, many someones. The Native American tribes who had lived here for thousands of years, tending it, understanding it, dying for it. But to the American government, their presence was an inconvenience. And so, one of the darkest chapters in American history unfolded. Systematic removal, forced relocation, and massacre. It started with laws, like the Indian Removal Act. It continued with broken treaties, stolen land, and death marches like the Trail of Tears, where thousands of Cherokee were forced from their homes. Over 4,000 died from hunger, cold, and exhaustion. By the 1880s, most native peoples were confined to reservations, land they didn't choose, often barren, far from ancestral roots. Children were taken from families and placed in boarding schools, where they were punished for speaking their own languages. Hair was cut, names were changed, cultures erased, their drums fell silent, their gods forgotten, and all of it in the name of civilization. And when laws weren't enough, guns spoke louder. The Sand Creek Massacre, the Wounded Knee Massacre, names that echo through time. At Sand Creek in 1864, over 230 peaceful Cheyenne and Arapaho, many of them women and children, were slaughtered. The commander's words still haunt history. Kill and scalp all, big and little, nits make lice. At Wounded Knee in 1890, the U.S. cavalry opened fire on unarmed Lakota families. Over 250 Native men, women, and children were killed, many while running, many while begging. The snow turned red, and America called it a battle. And yet, the violence didn't stop with Native peoples. Black Americans, fleeing slavery or seeking new lives after the Civil War, faced deep discrimination. Barred from land, from schools, from safety. Some became cowboys, some joined the U.S. cavalry as buffalo soldiers. But even in uniform, they were second-class citizens. Chinese immigrants helped build the railroads, with sweat, danger, and starvation wages. When jobs grew scarce, so did patience. Riots, lynchings, exclusion acts. In 1882, the U.S. government passed the Chinese Exclusion Act, banning nearly all Chinese immigration, the first law of its kind. Violence followed. In Wyoming, 28 Chinese miners were killed in a single day. Their crime? Being Chinese. Mexican Americans, too, were promised protection under treaties and received betrayal instead. Land was taken, rights denied, children segregated, generations forgotten by a country that redrew borders and erased promises. This was the price of progress. This was the truth beneath the myth. The West wasn't won by cowboys and outlaws alone. It was built on the backs of those erased from the story. And so, as the sun sets on this journey through dust, hunger, silence, and blood, we remember not just the pioneers who endured, but the people who were never given the chance to try. Because the American frontier wasn't just about hardship. It was about power, and who got to survive, and who didn't. Thank you for listening, and may we never forget that history is not just about who made it to the end, but also about who was written out of it.